morning, everyone. Again, we thank you for the opportunity to join us here on today, for taking out the time and being present as we are again here to support an amazing author, Robert Allen, as he launches his first book, Self-Care. Let's start the conversation. And so without any further ado, we have the publisher here as well, James McCarroll, who is really going to introduce an interview and give you all an opportunity to find out really what is behind this book. Why did Robert Allen seek to even involve you in this journey of self-care? Pastor McCarroll? You have to unmute yourself.
It's coming. All right. So good morning. Good to see you guys. So glad to have you on here. It's a pleasure to have this conversation. This has been about 5 months coming, 5 or 6 months coming. It's an honor to introduce not only my cousin, but my brother, my friend, and just a noted author, just very skilled. His background is immense. Currently serves at the VA in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we are excited to have him here this morning. So my name is James McCarroll, as was mentioned earlier. I'm the owner of Holy Impact Publishing, also known as Impactful Publishing. And we decided to do Robert's book after talking to him and seeing just this open niche, this opportunity to speak to people about something that the conversation is kind of out there, the language is kind of out there, but to give a much deeper insight, more sound approach to this concept of self-care. And so we took the time and worked with them, and it is an honor to present this and this work to the world. And so, as was stated earlier, we'll take some time and interview him so you guys can hear the heart behind the book, Self-Care. Let's start the conversation. So I want to introduce to some and present to others Robert Allen, who is the author of Self-Care. Can we give him a hand, one of those Zoom claps where you don't hear it, but you can see it? So glad to have you on. So Robert, man, good morning. Just take a moment and introduce yourself so we know who you are.
Hello. Well, thank you. First and foremost, thank you, my cousin, my brother, my accountability partner, my mentor, just someone that I love and appreciate with me being on this journey. So my name is Robert Allen of R.W. Allen Books, and I am a chaplain, a chief chaplain for the Milwaukee VA, as well as a business consultant, growth coach, and trainer. So I do a lot, but I love people at the center of it all. I love people. And so what inspired this book is my love for people and wanting to genuinely see people get better and grow and allow it to be sustained.
So as we talk about self-care, why this topic? Out of all of the topics that you're well versed in, you do a lot of coaching, a lot of other things. Why self-care?
So I have, as you said, I have a background in a plethora of things, from law enforcement to education, early childhood education, the hospital industry, and so in military. So along the way, I've just met people and seen people, and me personally, my personal journey of not really caring for myself. In the family that I'm raised in, you hear these things, too much idle time is the devil's workshop. And, you're always supposed to be working. And from a cultural standpoint, it's always embedded work. Mm-hmm. And it's never really told, well, take time and take care of yourself so that you can be a better version of you and better take care of other people. And so being in the various industries and also a licensed therapist, being in the industry, I hear the stories, I see the people. I've been there, burnt out, just not firing on all cylinders. And so I've been there. So the book was sparked out of, well, let me backtrack just a little minute. So the book was actually sparked when I came to Las Vegas. The bishop asked me to put together a ministers in training class. And when I did it, I took all of what I learned in CPE, clinical pastoral education, which is done for chaplaincy in the hospital. And so I built these classes, and the very last class was self-care. And when I taught the class, the people began to become emotional. I heard things like, isn't taking time for yourself selfish?
Mm-hmm.
And we dispelled some of those myths. And people were just saying, I've never taken the time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so subsequently, I was given the opportunity to come down to the great state of Tennessee in Murfreesboro and do a self-care piece there at your church. Once you had did the ministers in training class, and you were able to witness afterwards the people saying, look, this is good. How can we get our hands on it? And so I thank you for challenging me then. He did the pull to the side cousin brother move. He is a year older than me, so I had to respect my elder of 1 year and said, you need to make a book, or you need to write a book. And so thank you for setting a fire under me to do what was in me. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Listen, you have gone through the process, as you mentioned, personally, and now you get a chance. This book is unique in that you share your personal testimony. So now you get a chance to kind of not only give it objectively or speak to self-care objectively, but from a very subjective space. And so in the book, you kind of chronicle some parts of your journey, and then you give people a chance to use that kind of as a gauge, if you will, or a plumb line to look within their own lives and to say, okay, am I heading in the same direction?
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk about that structure and why you used your story and the importance of transparency in helping other people have a self-care conversation?
Oh, absolutely. So, from the hard part of writing the book, I'm a therapist, I'm a educator, I'm a coach, a football coach, but also a growth coach. So trying to figure out and fit everything where it will reach everybody, not just one person, not just one generation. The book was written so that anybody can pick it up and read it and identify. And so, as you know, as you and I talked, the hardest part was, does it fall under self-help? Nah, it does, but it's more. Does it fall under self-reflection? Yeah, it does, but it's like the perfect mixture in two. So in writing it, in my experience, people have a hard time being vulnerable, even with themselves, to be transparent, but to be vulnerable. And so the book allows people to read a glimpse of my vulnerability, of me being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And then it asks them the questions in your story, what was this or what was that? So it's called the reflective pause. So I give some statistics from a technical standpoint, but then I give me from a vulnerable standpoint, and then I give a piece of reflection for the reader to embrace what their story is.
And so when you do it masterfully, the book is extremely well written. It flows very well. Um, and so there's like 1,000 questions I want to ask you. Let's go back to one part of the book. And you talked about how you speak of vulnerability and the need for vulnerability. So in the last conversation we had on the book, we were talking about how when people finally talk about self-care, they confuse self-care with maybe a vacation or getting a manicure or a pedicure. Now, in what ways are they similar but also different?
Okay, so self-care in the book, the take on it that I bring to the forefront is self-care is whatever you need at that particular time to get you reset back to a point where you are restored and refreshed. And so replenished and restored. And so sometimes we get in a habit of making things ongoing that no longer replenishes us. Replenish us. So, if I, just for instance, if you go on a vacation, and I know we've all probably been on a vacation and you do a group trip, or if you have a family, your vacation becomes taking care of everyone. You ever been on a vacation? I know I have, and I planned like excursion after excursion, and it seemed like I was at work going to the excursions, having fun, but I was still doing, going. And by the time I got home, I was exhausted and needed a vacation from the vacation. And so did you really give yourself what you needed to restore and replenish?
Yes.
You may have got away and it was fun, but you didn't energize yourself in the way you needed to energize.
And so when we talk about that, you give these 4 R's, which are kind of the central thrust of the book. Can you speak to those 4 R's coming out of that, right on the heels of what you just said?
Right. So in the book, when you get, I don't remember what chapter, I'm trying to look to see what chapters where they are. The 4 R's in chapter 16. So the very first one is to retreat. So retreat means to simply get away from. Again, as I was saying with the vacation things, a lot of times we want to bring everyone into our circle, our bubble, when we get away. But then when you do that, or one of the dangers in doing that as it pertains to your self-care walk, is you get distracted from ensuring that everyone is together. So maybe you want to go have a dinner at 3, but because the group is going at 5, now you have to go at 5. And so to retreat means to take yourself away from all distractions, whether it's family, whether it's TV, whether it's social media. Just take your way and get yourself away from all the distractions. The second one is reflect. So to reflect means, let me take this time to see what worked well, what didn't work so well, what changes I need to make, what things that I like and what things really, really speak to me. And it gives you that space. And in the reflection space, you can even be vulnerable in that space because you are alone, you're with yourself, and you can be honest with you. So when you move from retreat, get away, reflect, and then you move to replenish. What really fills your cup? What are those things that pour into you that get you to a space, and whatever replenishes you at that particular point? It may change from day to day, it may change from week to week, it may change from year to year, but what really pours into you? So for instance, let's say you're going through grief. What may fill your cup may be very different from the point of when you was not going through grief. A change of job, maybe marriage or a divorce or something, a birth of a new child. These are all things that's going to change what replenishes you. And then the last is restore, putting it all together so that you can move forward in a new frame of mind. So when you think of restore, being brought back to a new state. And so those are the 4 R's.
So let's dig on a couple of them, or dig through a couple of them. Can you say more about the reflection piece? Because I think a lot of people can get away. We can get everyone out of the room, out of the space, or we go up to the mountains like Moses. We're fully isolated, but we may not necessarily know which questions to ask or what to do or how to be present. Like there's some people that may say, okay, transcendental meditation, solid for is a good opportunity to learn yourself. Some may say, well, it's reading and kind of sitting with whatever you read. It may be going into the Bible and grabbing a verse and allowing that verse to sink in. How do we navigate the space of reflection so that it becomes most beneficial for us?
Well, again, I think like, so these are building blocks. So the most important thing is to retreat, to get away from all distractions. And sometimes we can become distracted. I know if you give me too much time to myself, I start balancing checkbooks, thinking about what to do next week. And so being able, the good thing about self-care is not static, it's progressive. And so what we really want to do is put ourselves in that space where, okay, last week I tried to sit in the park, I couldn't get there. You know, just mine, I couldn't. So maybe the park wasn't you that week. So if you have a small room in your house, maybe it's a closet. For me, one time my reflection room was my closet. I had to cut the lights out to just, because I'm a visual person. So closing my eyes and putting myself in a space where I can just not get distracted and begin to think. And so that's going to be different for everybody. But the whole purpose of the reflection piece is to center yourself and get yourself in a space where you can be truly transparent. Have the conversation. Have the conversation with yourself about, look, I thought I was good, but I'm not. You know, I'm used to working 60 hours a week, and I know it's not good. I know it's not good for my family. And then taking, along with the self-care book, the self-care journal, is helpful in keeping track of those things that helps you in a reflective mode, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when we do that, you know, sometimes we stay busy because we don't want to see what's there. And so can you give some encouragement to those people that just don't want to look in the mirror, or they would prefer a surface glance rather than a deep dive? Can you give some encouragement in that regard?
Well, first of all, I want to let them know, whoever, well, let me speak to me first. That was me. That was me who would not take the time to sit and be honest with myself and to be vulnerable. It was a class through seminary, personal spiritual disciplines, which was the first time I was able to really look at who I was. I didn't like everything that I saw. I noticed things like this, and some of the people in the audience may feel this way. A good portion of some of my success was I didn't even really want all of that. You know, I went to school and got a degree. That's what I wanted. But I was trying to make other people proud, whether it was my mother, whether it was my family. I was trying to make other people proud. And so I thought, you know, young guy from Detroit, Michigan, grew up in the inner city. Success was my way out, is what I thought. But then when I look back, some of the things that I accomplished, I didn't even want to accomplish. So how much of me did I give away to make someone else proud? And so if I can encourage anybody on this Zoom call today, it's things like that I was able to be vulnerable with myself about, to say, I no longer have to do this. So will it cause you to be in a space that's a little difficult? Maybe. But you have the book as a guide to continue the conversation. And so the chapters don't leave you bare and they don't leave you alone. They build upon the next so that you can get to that fourth arm, which is restored.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cus. Thank you. One last question. Where can they get the book? How can they get the book? If you can share that.
All right. So for everyone here on the call, you can go to www.rwallenbooks.com, www.rwallenbooks.com. There you can get the self-care, let's start the conversation, and you can get the 12-week reflective journal that goes hand in hand with the book. And then we also have other merchandise and things like that. Do not disturb self-care mode, and it's cut on. So this is my time for me. And we have mugs and different other stuff. So you can get it there. Also on Amazon. You can go on Amazon, and I believe the book will be available on Barnes and Nobles as well. So
So we're going to do this. We've got a few minutes just to open up the floor for questions. I know you guys have come on, you've heard about it. We're so glad to see each of you. We're here again with Robert, the author, Robert Allen, the author of the new book, Self-Care. Let's start the conversation. So any questions you guys have? Also, his wife is on here. You want to introduce the family that's on today?
absolutely. No, absolutely. So my beautiful wife and my soon to be 3-year-old, she has her do not disturb shirt on as well. They are on here, and I am so grateful to have them here and part of this whole process with me.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Good morning. Good morning.
So glad to have you on. Good to see you. Good to see you. So I'll tell you what, if you can, we're going to open up the floor for questions. If you'd like to ask a question, just begin as soon as Robert finishes the answer of the previous question. If you could give us your name, where you're from, and then ask your question, we'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, anyone?
My name is Christine Ann. I'm currently a nurse practitioner with the VA, stationed in Fayetteville, North Carolina, except I moved home last week. I'm working remotely for the next several weeks until I retire. And retirement's a big adjustment. It's a huge life change. And the topic's not new to me because it's what I do. I've had an integrative healthcare business in Huntsville, Alabama for 20 years before I joined with the VA, and I taught a lot of classes, but I had a really great takeaway from listening today. And it was about retreat, and that retreat, what Robert said is retreat is separating yourself, from those demands. And yes, we can go in the closet, but I'm that person that everything calls me. The dishes, oh, we could dust again, everything calls me. And I've been having this little argument with myself. In the past, when I had a lot of people around, I would retreat to a monastery in Cullman, Alabama. And I allowed myself at least once a year, like a 5 or 7 day retreat. And then I thought, well, you don't really need to do that, do you, Christine? Because you're here by yourself and nobody's bothering you. And so you don't need to spend the money. But I realized retreat is getting away from that which distracts. And I'm the kind of person, I don't sit much. I'm cooking, I'm gardening, I'm reading a book, I'm taking a walk. And what you did is gave me permission. I now have permission to go do a private retreat. I mean, most places are shut down because of COVID, but before the VA, I always did that quiet time every year, and it did everything you said. It's kind of like I have time to reflect, time to replenish, time to restore, and I feel pretty like the bucket's empty after these years of service. And the reason I came home is because my health was suffering. The stress with COVID and the daily chaos and the changes. Every day is a new day, but it's not fun because of the stressors and it's chaos. Everything's chaos. COVID is chaos.
And so what I would say to you is this: I am so thankful that you got the key word. And the key word there was giving yourself permission. And so again, if anybody, thank you, Christine. If anybody on here really, really needs the one word, it is the word permission. give yourself the permission to step away from it. It's not being selfish. It's not. It's giving yourself the time and the space for you. So
And
one
the
of the things
money, and the money.
and the money. And so one of the things that I do, real quick, I've went to Red Rock in Las Vegas, cost $5 to get in the park maybe. And I went and I climbed. I don't like heights, but I went and climbed up on some rocks and got all the way up to somewhere I was scared to come down from. And just sat there, and I had some of the best me time with no distractions and no disturbances that I've ever had. And so again, the retreat part doesn't have to cost you a whole lot. It's just putting you in a space where you can get away from all of the demands. And a lot of times that's just leaving your cell phone in the car. Back to you, Pastor McCarroll.
Christine, thank you. Thank you. And I fully understand as a pastor during COVID, this has probably been one of the most challenging times, not only because we have to serve individuals, but the type of loss they're experiencing, the type of sickness they're experiencing, and there's a sense of helplessness. And so it's like trying to put a fire out without the proper tool, and you're just working, trying to make sure you get it as low as possible. And it can be consuming. And so thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. And it is my prayer that in the beautiful city of Huntsville, Alabama, you will gain some wonderful retreat time and some reflection time. And if you go another 60 miles down to Birmingham, a little town called Hoover, Alabama, outside of Birmingham, there is a phenomenal resort, the Marriott Renaissance Ross Bridge. It is an amazing resort if you can get to it. And it is just absolutely, the neighborhood's peaceful, quiet, community's peaceful and quiet. Please, if you can go, I guarantee it'll be worth the 60 miles. If it's not, I will pay for your gas round trip. Not your room, gas.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. It's my prayer that you get some replenishment during this time. So anyone else have a question, comment? I see my good friend Brenda Bailey on, who's just an author in her own right. Good to see you. Miss Val is on, Miss Nicole's on, and Jason on. Good to see you guys. Anyone have a comment you want to make about the book or share anything?
Self-care. Good morning, everyone. They call me Minister BB. Self-care is very, very important. I lost my mom. I lost my godparents. One passed away on a Thursday while I was on a show, and the next Thursday, the gentleman, my goddad died. So, and then transition. Sorry about that word, died. Transition, and then my niece passed away from breast cancer. So I had 4 deaths at the same time, and being a grief counselor, I had to find myself, reinvent what was going on in my own self mind to be able to cope with me, not even trying to bleed on other people about what was going on with me. Self-care had to take place, because if not, I would have been a total wreck. So what I would like to know, a question to you, Mr. Allen, is what about self-care with grieving, when people are grieving and things like that? Because sometimes people will let themselves go. It gets to a point to where they don't really care anymore, and sometimes that hardship can bring other hardships, and bleed into the family. So what do you think about self-care and grieving?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what? We just did part of what we do, New Dimensions Consulting Services. We just did a Zoom on conference on grief, especially grief during the pandemic, and it was a phenomenal session. I think we recorded that, so I will get you the link to that, because we had several people, grief counselors, chaplains, and we spoke about that very topic. And one of the things that I spoke about in what you're saying is compounded grief. So compounded grief that deals with loss of anything, job, marriage, family members, all of these things wrapped into one, and it can be a combination of the same, a combination of different parts of it, but it's compounded grief. And what you said was, if we don't begin to retreat, and there's a part in this where you're going to need people to surround you, but then there's another part that, and if you are a faith person, a person of faith, there's going to be times where you're going to be angry with your faith. And the stages of grief, what a lot of people don't really say about grief is that you can continuously go through the stages. So once you've went to acceptance, it may be a song you hear on the radio that puts you back down to anger. And it's okay. It's okay. And so as it pertains to self-care, what are some of the things that you need to pull back from to bring you back to a point of restoration? And so the book helps you do that, even in the midst of grief. And so that's why the 4 R's are important. And that's why the vulnerability piece is important as well. Now, did that answer your question? I hope it did.
It answered my question, and it enlightened some of the things that I was already talking about. As they say, I got confirmation, but I'm a Marriott girl, and I just want to leave y'all with this: the Renaissance. Okay, I worked for Marriott for almost 30 years. The Renaissance is the fi. I'm sorry, I keep it real. The Renaissance is the fi. Once you go to that castle, you will never, ever, ever be the same. Also, there's one right here in Birmingham in Muscle Shoals. If you go to Muscle Shoals, they have the same effect. That's where I have my Girl Go Get Your Stuff event. So if you want to get away and just, whew,
Now,
I'm a runner. Y'all gonna make me run through my house. The Renaissance.
is that the Marriott in Florence?
Florence, Alabama. That's my spot.
Yeah. That's another good. As a matter of fact, since you're in Huntsville, that's only 30 minutes away. So
Exactly.
it's west. Oh, hold on. I think you're muted. I think you're on mute still. So I think you were muted, Christine, so we didn't get a chance to hear what you were saying.
I said, that's good to know. That's actually closer than Birmingham.
And they have
I have friends over there.
Yeah, and their square is amazing. They have amazing food. W.C. Handy, who's the author of the father of jazz music, his home is there. It's his original home. So a lot of good things to see in Florence. I'm a Marriott guy, so apparently it's not like I work for them, right? They do not sponsor this show. Amen. God bless you. But so good to see you guys. Thank you much. Yes, sir.
I wanted to mention something else, and this is something I'm speaking it out in the atmosphere, and this is actually going to be part of when I do another book, Self-Care. Continue the conversation. I do want people to know on this, we do for boards, for staff, training, self-care retreats, we do those. If you go to the website, you can log in and book and do those things. But I want to put this out there, and Pastor McCarroll, I am putting you out there too. One of the things that I am going to look forward to as we plan this is there's going to be a self-care and forgiveness seminar or conference. They're synonymous. So, and one of the things that I want to touch on with that is Pastor McCarroll has written a book on forgiveness, and my desire is to team up with him and to do a piece that speaks about self-care and forgiveness and how they work together. So look forward to that. He's probably going to get me later, but I'm already throwing it out there as something that's going to take place.
2021, 2022, let's make it happen. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. We can make that happen. Maybe we'll host one large retreat and just bring everyone in. I'm all for it. All for it.
The
So, anyone else want to make
One
a
more
comment?
thing, I'll do the if you guys do the retreat, I'll find the spots because that's what I do. So I'll throw myself in there and I'll help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to make a comment on? I see Jason. Okay.
Oh yes, this is Jason Simmons. Mr. Robert Allen. We go way back. We both attended the same high school. I just want to say congratulations. My mom, man, she told me she got to say get the book. We ordered my book. Just I've been seeing, most time we read stuff to get knowledge, know about history, but just reading some of the website, getting an understanding and know yourself, because some things are, it may be hidden inside, you may not know. You may look in the mirror each day and, you see the same person, but, you're not knowing in yourself, there's an issue or there's a problem or something that, you need to fix on for yourself, or like you said, reflect on yourself. So I'm looking forward. I'll be ordering it today as soon as we get off this call, but I want to say congratulations, man.
Well, Jason, my friend, it's been a long, long time. After this is over, I think I shot you my number. Give me a call. I would love to catch up. And thank you. And exactly what you said, the book is written in a way where it is going to grab you and you have a conversation with yourself. It's going to give you some helpful tips and with some statistics and numbers that's probably going to shock you. In the first chapter, it talks about stress and the effects of stress. And when you look at some of those numbers, I'm telling you, I've gotten people who called me and said, I never knew. I've read a ton of books, but I've never had this statistics or these or this set of information. So I really think that it's going to speak to you. And thank you. I really do. We go way back. Loyola High School. Can't say enough. Can't say enough. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate you, bro.
All right. Anyone else want to share? All right. So there are also some other things. I know you mentioned that you guys have different items that go with self-care. I know if you'd share a moment about the soap. I know your wife
yes.
has started the soap business. I used it this morning. I feel fresh and refreshed. So if you could share
Yes.
about that.
Oh, absolutely. So it's bundles. Again, if you want the self-care book, I implore you, if you get the book, and I'm not trying to sell something else, but if you get the book, you really want the journal, because the journal in that 12 weeks, it keeps you on track. So those two, I highly suggest that you get them together. But also we have the apparel, the Do Not Disturb Self-Care Mode t-shirts. We have our mugs, refueling, and then we have Thai Fusions, which is my wife's company, with all natural soaps, and she has a self-care all natural soap product that you can buy as well. And so we're trying to get you fresh, we're trying to get you clean, we're trying to get you replenished, restored, all of that stuff. So please, 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 her information for her website and everything will be launched, I think, in the next week or two, or I think we're doing an official launch date next month. So as of now, you can get it from the self-care website, rwallenbooks.com website, but then we'll be connecting you with her as well to her website, so you can get more of the things that you like. They make absolutely perfect gifts.
Awesome, awesome. So with that being the case, any other questions, any other comments? If not, I will turn it back over to Maticia to close out.
All right. This again, what a phenomenal opportunity, right? To one, understand the dynamics behind this body of work, right? You have the 4 R's. If you have not written down those 4 R's, I'm just going to put this out there. That's a t-shirt, the 4 R's. I can just see that. 4 R's. I'm walking around with these 4 R's. So look forward to the retreat. Again, if you haven't already purchased the book, please visit the website. That is in the chat. Also, if you want to just stay connected, to make sure that you're plugged into trainings, retreats, resources, and the next book that comes out, please visit the website. And if you haven't already, visit Amazon. And also, we would like to see your review. Be a part of what's happening with this author. And again, have a wonderful day. We appreciate you. We thank you for your beautiful smiles, even your photos, and have a wonderful day.
Oh, real quick.
Yes, sir.
If I could say something, if you guys want to be on the email list, if we do have your permission, because I know some of you have registered. Well, everybody's registered. If you want to be on the email list, or let's put it like this: if you don't want to be on the email list, if you can please put down that you don't want to be on the email list, that's fine. But also, to be a subscriber to the website, just please log on to the website. There's at the end, you can hit subscribe, and we'll have all your information there too, to keep you updated on new books and things like that if you want it.
We appreciate you, and God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye-bye.